Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
It was all caught on camera. Truck stolen in a matter of seconds. The loss still lingers for a family on the southwest side. A look at the truck and license plate you should watch out for coming up.
And a major U.S. city backtracking on its ban on Halloween. So what are San Antonio city leaders saying about the holiday here?
Certainly feels good out there. Rain showers continue to pop up in the San Antonio area. The wet weather all happening as a cold front sits over us. Meteorologist Adam Caskey tracking when your neighborhood could see rain. Adam.
Yeah, and it looks like we continue to see these showers popping up this evening, and I think this is going to be the trend through the night. Now, it's not going to be raining everywhere all the time, but a good chunk of South Texas seeing some showers at some point through the night. And right now, a lot of the activity is in and around parts of southeastern and eastern Bexar County, stretching up I-35 through the New Braunfels area into San Marcos as well. Guadalupe County, especially right along the Cibolo there. We're seeing some good moderate to heavy rainfall even on the east and southeast side of town. This is all slowly pushing northward. So far, a lot of the shower activity has been fairly short-lived, so I don't want to track this out for you and make any promises off to the north, but I do have higher hopes for more development down to the south that will then gradually be pushing northward throughout the night. Now, this is actually held together a little bit better near Pleasanton, and it's electrified, so it's got a little more strength and oomph to it as it pushes northward into southern Bexar County, and this will likely sustain itself as it tracks northward very slowly, though, at only about 15 miles per hour, so that prolongs your rain. Look at these temperatures. 50s in the hill country, near 80 along the coastline. Cold front is here. We're down to 65 in San Antonio. More on exactly how it's going to feel in your area tomorrow coming right up.
Yeah, I noticed that 65 in the corner. It's feeling like Halloween. We're just days past Labor Day weekend, but that's the holiday that's coming to mind tonight. Trick-or-treating banned in the city of Los Angeles, only to have officials backtrack and say it was only not recommended. So what could be in store for San Antonio? Well,
tonight, Mayor Ron Nirenberg saying it's a bit too early for that discussion. Dr. Sandra Guerra with Metro Health agreed, but went on to say that there's always been health concerns with anything children are involved.
And I think this year there may be an additional layer of safety and security messaging that will come out, but it is something that as parents, particularly of children, wanting to make sure whatever activities they're involved in, they do it safely.
The flu season remains on the minds of health professionals as they hope to avoid a twindemic, and they're still about 2 weeks away from finding out how this past holiday impacted our community.
I think we're all interested in ensuring that there's not a Labor Day spike before we get too far down the road.
And Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf also agreed, saying it depends on the situation San Antonio sees itself in come October.
So how are we doing as a city and a county living through this pandemic? Well, today another 151 new COVID-19 cases were reported in Bexar County, along with 2 more deaths. Hospitalizations do continue to go down. That's a good sign. We're back under the 300 mark with 298 COVID-19 patients in the hospital. 130 are in the intensive care unit, 84 on ventilators. We've also entered the safe zone on our risk meter, but health officials say that could change if safety guidelines are ignored. Convalescent plasma is still in demand, and people are trying to help COVID-19 patients. The South Texas Blood and Tissue Center says they have 25 donors who recovered from the virus show up to donate their plasma today. Those donors gave 88 units that'll be available tomorrow. The center says they have about 40 donors coming in a day. They need to get that number up to 75 donors a day. These are just donors. They don't even have to be convalescent plasma. Carabin Shaw and Wyatt Law Firm are now hoping to increase donations by offering a $50 gift card through the center for each donation. Those who have recovered from COVID-19 can email covid19@southtexasblood.org.
And as our overall risk meter has improved, so has the graph tracking in-class learning. We have moved further away from the high-risk bar, but still remain in the moderate area. So in-class learning is recommended to involve 6 or fewer students in a classroom. The positivity rate is at 6.7%, but Mayor Ron Nirenberg says that it would need to drop below 5% before the meter moves into the green zone. Well, student learning to in-person learning are not only seeing less students, but are learning new protocols. At KSAT High School, they have 500 students enrolled, and this week only 50 are on campus. The night team's Tiffany Huerta shows us how students and staff are adjusting to a new normal.
I've been in a classroom where everyone's on the Zoom call at home and I'm in there by myself. It's really different.
KSAT senior Corey Castillo returned to in-person learning this week.
Not seeing any of my friends in the classroom and not being able to socialize, normally with the teacher, with other students. It was really hard, and it's still hard trying to adjust to all the procedures they put in place for us.
Students and staff must wear a face covering and get their temperature checked. San Antonio ISD says the principal and secretary check temperatures for staff. Teachers and administrative staff in the morning check temperatures for students.
And when students come into the classroom, the teacher also sanitizes their workspace. And so students can wipe that again, but also the last 5 minutes of the class period, we've taught our students how to sanitize their workspace again.
The principal says students are also spread out.
Right now we're capped at 5 students per classroom, and our students are used to having 24 students in a classroom.
Although everything is still changing, Senior Castillo hopes to have in-person graduation.
I'm looking forward to seeing how many people are going to come back over time. Is it going to get better? I'm hoping it's going to get better so we can go back to our normal school.
Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
And the principal says they plan to increase the amount of students on campus from 10% to 20% on September 21st.
SeaWorld San Antonio feeling the impacts of the pandemic. 242 of its employees now laid off, according to documents the theme park submitted to the Texas Workforce Commission. The theme park's president says COVID-19 led to a low turnout in attendance at the park and a loss in revenue. The layoffs went into effect on September 4th.
A lot of homeowners are choosing to fix things around the house during the pandemic. Tomorrow on GMSA, we'll talk to a consumer expert about how to keep safe when having contractors in your home.
And new on the Nightbeat, surveillance cameras rolling as a man walked up to a home and drove away with a truck. It happened off Harrow Drive. Police say they responded to the West Side neighborhood for the truck theft last week. Another neighbor is expressing concern tonight. The night team's Stephen Cavazos takes a look at auto crimes in that area.
We actually worked so hard to keep that vehicle in our family.
The last week has been an emotional time for Rogelio and Annette Martinez. The couple say their truck was stolen right outside their home off Harrow Drive last week. They believe this man is responsible. Surveillance video shows the man walking up to the truck, and moments later, he drives off. They say the doors were locked. Rogelio, who recently lost his job due to the pandemic, says he now only has one form of transportation for his family.
You lose your job and then you lose your truck now too. It sets you back a whole bunch.
According to the Texas Department of Public Safety's website, in 2018, there were over 6,000 motor vehicle thefts in San Antonio. That number jumped to over 7,000 in 2019. And last week's reported theft has only left neighbors in this community more worried about who's roaming their streets. Kimberly and Carmen Garcia live down the street from the Martinez family. They say their SUV was broken into last year, just outside their home.
It's kind of scary not knowing, who's out here in the middle of the night, so.
We tracked crime from Stable Vista down to New Valley High Drive. In the past 6 months, there were a reported 7 car break-ins and 4 cars stolen, including the Martinez's truck. During that same time frame, in 2019, there were a reported 5 car break-ins and 2 cars stolen.
I'm a bit paranoid. I double-check, triple-check some nights.
Rogelio says he's been left feeling anxious over what could happen next.
You can't sleep at night. You're just wondering if they're going to come back or they're going to break into your house next, or you feel violated.
Stephen Cavazos, KSAT 12 News.
So can you help them get that truck back? Take a look at the photo of the truck that was stolen. It's a 2006 Chevy Silverado. The license plate number is HCB2723. If you see it, call police.
Well, new information on a chase that ended at I-10 in Foster. We first told you about this on the news at 6. Bexar County deputies say it all started when a driver was passing multiple stop signs near Woodlake Parkway. Deputies tried to pull the driver over, but he refused to stop and a chase began. The driver ended up crashing into a Via van and was taken to the hospital with a possible broken leg. The two people in the van had non-life-threatening injuries. A pickup truck was also damaged. 2 people were detained, but the suspect is being charged with evading, but other charges are pending.
We talked about it earlier. Your KSAT Weather Authority tracking this slow-moving cold front that continues to hover over San Antonio. We're in the mid-60s right now, but how low will the temperatures go? Coming up.
And a major facelift for a building that's nearly 130 years old. A look at the renovations nearing completion at San Antonio City Hall and why it has taken a little longer than expected.
And we're learning the COVID-19 vaccine trial put on hold involving a spinal cord problem. The latest next on the Nightbeat.
We have now passed another grim milestone in the coronavirus pandemic. More than 190,000 people have died in the United States, and we're learning a spinal cord problem may have led to a major contender to put the race for a vaccine on hold. Daryl Forge has the latest from Washington.
With an abundance of caution at a time like this, you put a clinical hold.
A serious spinal cord problem in a COVID-19 vaccine candidate, sparking a second pause in AstraZeneca's vaccine trial and an investigation into whether it was the vaccine or something else that caused a health issue in the patient.
If it turns out that that is a real consequence of this vaccine and can be shown to be cause and effect, then all the doses that are currently being manufactured for that will be thrown away.
So this is the kind of thing you'd like to see, that when there is a serious adverse events, mechanisms are put into place to stop everything.
This as the nation nears 40,000 confirmed cases at college campuses. In Illinois, an outbreak of cases at Bradley University triggering an all-campus quarantine for 2 weeks.
People have to take this seriously. We're still seeing some large and small gatherings, and that is putting a strain on the institution.
Now, a new report argues the United States needs 200 million COVID-19 tests a month well into 2021 to control the spread of the virus. And after nearly 10 months, the Trump administration is planning to end coronavirus screenings of overseas travelers coming into the United States. In Washington, I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
The push to make changes within police departments continues nationwide and here at home. 2 petitions are actually being circulated by a group called Fix SAPD. Those petitions are aimed at repealing local laws affecting the San Antonio Police Department. One of those laws gives officers certain protections when they are under investigation and the right to appeal any termination through an independent arbiter. The other allows for a collective bargaining agreement similar to a union contract. The Police Officers Association president feels the repeals could lead to officers quitting, which he claims would impact public safety. The petitions need tens of thousands of signatures before going up for a vote next year.
Now to a Nightbeat update. Renovations to San Antonio's historic City Hall building are nearly complete. Construction started back in the summer of 2018. It is now set to wrap up in about 2 months. But why did it take longer than expected?
You want to modernize it and bring it up to code, but at the same time, respect the history.
Updating an 1800s building to 2020 code standards takes time, patience, a soft touch, and money, says Assistant City Manager Rod Sanchez.
That building, it's great, rich history, but it really hasn't been touched for almost 90 years. The building itself is about 130 years old.
Guido Construction started renovations back in the summer of 2018 to replace the electrical, mechanical, and plumbing systems, as well as add a wheelchair ramp to the entrance, but there have been holdups along the way.
Anytime you dig more than 3 inches, you hit a rock or something, that could be a historical artifact.
An archaeologist was called in a few times, halting construction for a bit. The project was slated to take 18 months and cost about $38 million. Well, the price tag has gone up to nearly $40, and it's taken over 2 years.
We're going to spend another, $950,000 in upgrading the security to the building to make it safe for everybody.
Now at the home stretch of construction, the city doesn't anticipate additional costs. A sneak peek inside wasn't granted due to safety concerns, but Sanchez says the inside will have a nice modern feel while preserving things like the historic windows and plaster on the walls.
There's going to be a grand staircase from the second floor going all the way to the fourth floor. So I think those are going to be some wow factors for people when they walk into the building.
And revenue from property taxes funded the project. Staff is expected to move in December.
All right, let's look at live cam right now. As I said earlier, 65 degrees. I was having trouble concentrating on all the things that Adam was talking about because I'm just like, wow, does that really say 65?
It feels great out there.
It's awesome.
Yes, and we're getting rain,
yes.
Right? It's a combination. Boom. Now, some people love the hot and steamy conditions. Don't worry, your temperatures will be rebounding in the days ahead. But there is a noticeable drop in temperatures out there across most of our area. Not everybody's feeling it because the cold front hasn't moved through everywhere. And of course, we do have some areas of rain. So a lot to talk about in terms of first rainfall. Then we'll get to that big temperature spread that's going to be across South Texas tomorrow, where your temperature all depends on location. It'll be location, location, location. And we'll get into that. First of all, look at radar. I like what I see in Atascosa County as this thunderstorm has started to flare up and really develop nicely. Yes, we do have some other showers elsewhere, but for now I want to focus in just on this one because it's going to probably have the longest lifespan of all the showers that we see out there. So far they've been pretty short-lived, right along the cold front, a few popping up just east of Floresville, north of Poth there. But this right here over the past 2 hours has really come together, moving through Poteet, now headed into the south side of San Antonio. And this is a part of town that really didn't get quite as much rainfall over the past 48 hours as other locations. So I'm going to stop this here, zoom out a little bit, and we'll put a track on this because this one actually has a higher likelihood of surviving over the next, well, probably 1 to 2 hours at least. So we'll put this here. They're moving northward and not all that quickly, so we'll put it at about 13 miles per hour. And you see a ton of communities on the screen here. I mean, we're talking Terrell Wells at about 10:37, Somerset 10:38, looking at Von Army at 10:58. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit earlier there at Von Army. And then the north side of San Antonio, and you get into downtown, probably a little closer to 11. I know it looks very close near us right now, but downtown San Antonio, probably closer to 11 p.m. just because it's moving so slowly. And then you get into the Kirby Windcrest area, especially Kirby, stretching into Alamo Heights, right down here, Randolph Road, off 410. That's a heavy shower at the moment, and then some downpours here near Rittiman in 35. So this is just west of the Windcrest area. Austin Highway there included, stretching all the way over to the 281 corridor. So this is some good soaking rainfall. Obviously not the most convenient if you have to go outside and hit the roadways, because now the roadways are getting wet again and we've got those active showers. And these ones are pushing off to the northwest at about 15 miles per hour. So if we want to plot just one of these out here, let's say this little batch right here, assuming that stays on track on its current path, it would make it to Hill Country Village at about 10:50, Hollywood Park at 10:54, Timberwood Park at about 11:25. All right, so that's the timing for you. All right, we have a lot more to talk about. First of all, I am expecting more spotty showers to develop through the night. Our futurecast, it does support that through the morning commute tomorrow. So a little bit of spotty activity through the morning commute and dampness. Here's the cold front. Near 40 in the Panhandle, 80s along the coastal plain and along the Gulf Coast. The cold front just moved through San Antonio, Gonzales, Pleasanton. You're next. You'll see that temperature drop soon. And speaking of temperature drop, I mean, parts of the Hill Country now 25 degrees cooler than this time yesterday, currently in the mid-50s in the Hill Country. So tomorrow morning, 51 in Rock Springs, 60 San Antonio, 75 in Beeville. New Braunfels at 62, 50s in the Hill Country. Into the afternoon, it gets even more interesting. High temperatures only in the 60s in the Hill Country, but then you get near 90 degrees along the coast. So Victoria, Beeville, Corpus Christi, 87 with some mugginess in the air. Here in San Antonio, I'm expecting mid-70s for most of the area. About 75 Stone Oak, Lackland area, Port SA, 77, Von Army, 75. Bernie, though, only about 68 for your high temperature, in Lavernia at 78. So here's a breakdown of rain chances tomorrow. 40% around sunrise, and then those chances really fall off by the midday and afternoon. And I really don't anticipate much other than a stray sprinkle or two into Friday. Saturday, sun cloud mix, back up near 90 degrees. And then rain chances, they get a little bump again, back to 40% by Sunday and Monday. How's that?
Love it, love it, love it. I want more rain, more cool weather.
Well, just, it's in there.
It's coming.
So it comes to fruition. Yeah. All right, so the Cowboys play the late game on Sunday.
Yes, they are on the national broadcast. They're against the Rams. They're opening in Los Angeles, the brand new stadium there. And Zeke, can I say this, is geeked out about the Cowboys offense when we come back. Well, I just said it, so there you go. And looks like one of the Texans' new wide receivers will be possibly unavailable for their season opener tomorrow night. Coming up.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
Cowboys star running back Ezekiel Ali believes several of his Cowboy teammates who kneeled during the national anthem during their season opener against the Rams in Los Angeles this Sunday night to protest social injustice. That's what he told NBCSports.com. We'll have guys kneeling and standing, but the biggest thing, we'll all support each other. Elliott is also doubling down on his claim he made earlier that this is the most talented team he's played on since he was drafted in 2016 by the Cowboys at number 4 overall.
I think the sky's the limit. Look from top to bottom, every position. We got a lot of very good guys and a great group of guys, more than anything. And I think we're gonna be pretty good this year.
And during an interview with a syndicated show, In Depth with Graham Bensinger, Dak Prescott discussed the suicide of his older brother Jace this past April and how much of a burden Jace had to bear during the care of their mother, who passed away fighting cancer in 2013. Brandon Cooks is questionable for his debut with the Houston Texans tomorrow night after their new wide receiver has been limited in workouts this week with a quad injury, according to the Texans injury report. Cooks came to the Texans in a controversial trade with the Rams for second-round draft pick after he struggled last season after suffering 2 concussions in a month and a total of 5 since 2015. That doesn't seem to be a factor this time around, but does that dampen Bill O'Brien's enthusiasm for his new wide receiver group that includes former Cowboy Randall Cobb after trading away DeAndre Hopkins to Arizona?
I feel good about the wide receiver position. Look, this will be the first time that a lot of those guys have, played in a game with Deshaun and Deshaun with them. So, obviously there's some unknowns there, but they've practiced hard. I mean, they've done everything we've asked them to do. Relative to the injury report, you guys have it. You guys can interpret that the way you want to. You'll see who takes the field when we take the field on Thursday night.
All right, kickoff tomorrow night, set for 7:20 p.m. on Thursday Night Football in Kansas City. Spurs assistant coaches Becky Hammond and Will Hardy will interview for vacant head coaching position in Indianapolis, as according to ESPN and Yahoo Sports. That adds the interviews will be conducted virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Pacers fired Nate McMillan after they were eliminated in the first round by Miami, the same he who just knocked off the NBA's top-seeded team, the Milwaukee Bucks, to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. There's also head coaching vacancies in Philadelphia, New Orleans, and Oklahoma City, to name a few. The Steel Knights are back on the practice field, and we're headed to Comfort to get you ready for the big game and our big game coverage next. UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor says he'll be missing at least 8 players when they kick off the season against Texas State on Saturday up in San Marcos. He gave us an update on the 13 players that have been missing this week due to COVID-19 and antibody tests. Traylor tells us he got 4 players back today and is waiting to hear about a 5th for their season opener on Saturday. But keep in mind, they still have 2 more tests to go through tomorrow and Friday. The Baylor Bears have canceled their season opener against Louisiana Tech, slated for Saturday, after 38 members of the Louisiana Tech football team tested positive for the coronavirus in the wake of Hurricane Laura. A section of the nation lost power for days, forcing players to adjust their social distancing, and as a result, the increase in the COVID-19 positive results. The Steel Knights are back on the practice field as 6A and 5A teams are allowed back on the field starting this past Monday before the COVID-19 pandemic delayed the start of the high school football season for some of the largest school districts in the state. The Knights were ranked in the top 20 in the state, according to Texas Football Magazine. The Knights expected to challenge Judson again for the district title in difficult 27 6A that includes Clemens, and now Wagner's back in 6A. After going to the bi-district finals last year, the Knights want to extend their playoffs this season, led by Arkansas State commit quarterback Wyatt Beagle, who has thrown for over 2,400 yards and 20 touchdowns and rushed for another 8.
Like Coach said, welcome back, and I think that's good for everybody on the team. We've all been itching. We've all been ready to get back for a long time now. So getting to play against other people besides our teammates is always great.
It feels good. I'm excited, very excited. I'm pretty sure everyone out here is excited too, and we're just going to get at it. We're going to put the Steel Knight way.
All right, the Knights are scheduled to kick off their COVID-delayed season on the week of September the 24th. Their opponent has yet to be determined. The big game and our big game coverage this week features number 5 Marion Bulldogs against number 6 Comfort Bobcats, both undefeated in their first 2 games of the season, both newcomers to 12's Top 12's Sub-5A poll. This will be Marion's home opener after edging out their first 2 opponents by just 1 point each against Karn City and Goliad, but the Bobcats have dominated in their first 2 games, giving up only 6 points total against Brackett and Mason. We visited with Marion last night. Tonight, we're in Comfort.
It's going to be a tough game, I think, but if we come out there and just hit them hard like we did last week, we'll be fine.
Last year, we worked our butts off, and we definitely did a lot better than we have in a while. And I just feel like we just continuously improve ourselves every single day this year. And Friday is going to be pretty fun and exciting.
All right, kickoff between Comfort and Marion in the battle of the early unbeaten, set for 7:30 p.m. Friday in Marion. What did you say about Lavernia earlier?
No, I said what? Lavernia is on the road?
Yes, they are.
You've been there the last.
Yes,
you've been there the last 2 weeks.
But we'd always planned to be in Marion. There you go.
I told Greg there's got to be a B&B or something, a barbecue place or something in Lavernia he likes, because that's where he was.
Lavernia people are very nice to us.
Yeah, I know. They are. Thank you. The pandemic and the president's response highlighted yet again today. Still to come, we're going to listen to an audio clip that's causing a lot of controversy and how the president's political opponent, Joe Biden, is responding coming up.
And it was an eerie sight in California. No, this is not a filter that you're looking at. Why some were seeing orange in the middle of the day coming up.
Plus, a peek outside tonight as showers continue to pop up in parts of the San Antonio area. Your KSAT Weather Authority keeping up with the rain that's on the move tonight.
Audio recordings from famed journalist Bob Woodward's new book, Rage, appear to show the president intentionally downplaying the gravity of COVID-19 in the early days of the pandemic.
ABC's Inez de la Catera has the latest from Washington.
Tonight, President Trump insisting he did not mislead the American public when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We don't want to instill panic. We don't want to jump up and down and start shouting that we have a problem.
This after an explosive new book from journalist Bob Woodward reports Trump told Woodward his decision to publicly downplay the severity of the virus was intentional. Here's an excerpt of an audio clip obtained by CNN from the interviews.
It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. This is more deadly.
Trump allegedly making those comments on February 7, but here he is just 3 weeks later telling the American people the virus is like the flu.
This is a flu. This is like a flu. Within a couple of days, it's going to be down to close to 0. That's a pretty good job we've done.
Then, in March, in another recorded interview, the president appearing to acknowledge to Woodward that he deliberately was downplaying the severity of the virus in his public statements.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down. Yes, sir. Because I don't want to create a panic.
National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien confirming Woodward's reporting that he told Trump on January 28 that coronavirus, quote, will be the biggest national security threat you face in your presidency. Campaigning in Michigan Wednesday, Joe Biden calling the president's comments a disgrace.
He knew how dangerous it was. And while this deadly disease ripped through our nation, he failed to do his job on purpose. It was a life and death betrayal of the American people.
Woodward's new book, Rage, is set to be released next week, just 7 weeks before Election Day. Inez de la Catera, ABC News, Washington.
Around America tonight, the search is on for 3 masked suspects in a deadly arson case in Denver, Colorado. 5 family members, including a 2-year-old girl and an infant, killed in that intentionally set house fire last month. Investigators now hope increasing a reward to $40,000 will lead to more information in the case. The suspects were seen leaving in a 4-door sedan.
A nearly 150-year-old Confederate monument is being moved out of a public square in St. Augustine, Florida. The city's commission voted to remove it in June. The monument weighs 100,000 pounds. It's being moved on a barge to its new home, roughly 18 miles away. Last month, the statue of Confederate General William Loring, which stood just feet away, was removed.
All right, this is a hand-drawn license plate. Failed to fool police in Kentucky. Millersburg police officers spotted the plate last week, pulled the driver over. While it may look realistic from afar, the tag was missing the registration sticker. After further investigation, police determined it was a DIY plate. On top of all that, police say the driver had no insurance and was driving with a suspended license.
And take a look at what some people saw in Marion County, Oregon. This was yesterday afternoon as the sky turned an orange hue. The change in scenery came as flames from the Beachy Creek fire produced thick smoke blanketing the sky and blocking the sunlight. Ooh, pretty eerie. Many people have had to evacuate as the flames spread.
Yeah, it was a similar scene in the San Francisco Bay Area this morning. Several wildfires continue to burn in California, sending smoke into the air. Winds carrying the wildfire smoke as far away as 200 miles. The smoke can scatter shorter wavelengths of blue and green while allowing longer wavelengths of red and blue to pass through, creating what you see here, this orange glow.
It does look like a filter, doesn't it?
Some people said that they had to get they were trying to take pictures with their camera and it kept auto adjusting.
Because it didn't understand what's going on.
Right, with the camera on their phone, so they had to get a real camera out to show just how orange it was.
That's insane. I had to take a picture out because we saw something we hadn't seen in a while, rain.
Yeah, that was you see right there on our camera. In the Crossroads area, 410 and I-10, the roads are wet. Of course, that's something to be careful of because even during the morning commute, we expect some damp roadways tomorrow. I want to talk a little bit about this rainfall and the aquifer. The aquifer is responding nicely to this. It's up nearly a foot already compared to yesterday and likely to continue to climb with more rain that's headed into town. So here's a look at that aquifer level. Up nearly a foot. We're now 1 foot below the September average. I wouldn't be surprised if we get up to and above the September average by tomorrow. And that number is going to keep climbing. Fall Elm, by the way, is high today, Molden moderate. More about the aquifer and how much rainfall we got in the areas where we need it. Let's go to the graphics. We really like to see the rain in that purple zone in the middle. But it's nice to see it elsewhere as well. And you look at the past 48 hours, and we did well in terms of rainfall. I mean, we had some pockets of rain of over 2-3 inches, even just within San Antonio. So that was very nice to see. There's a look at the 48-hour rainfall accumulations. And it's very streaky as usual. We don't have the rain everywhere. You know, the rain doesn't always fall equally. Actually, it rarely does. So it's very streaky. And you see these little streaks of rain, and the heavier rain kind of streak south to north in this situation. So in this situation here, especially the west side of San Antonio, basically I-10 corridor, Fair Oaks Ranch, all the way down into Leon Valley, that's where we had basically the biggest streak of rainfall and the heaviest rain, especially when you get right down into the neighborhoods here. You can see 1604 on the northwest side of town, Hausman Road there, and there you go, Hausman Road, UTSA area. And that's where we've had these rainfall estimates so far of over 3 inches over the past 48 hours. So healthy, good, soaking rainfall. Nice to see. You look at the showers out there right now, and the activity is widely separated, especially on the north side of town, Chavano Park, down toward the airport, on into Windcrest. And already the airport has seen about 9/10 of an inch of rain today. But this is what I like to see, this stronger batch of rain moving into the south side of town. And this is going to continue northward, not very quickly. So it's going to leave in its wake some good soaking rainfall. But it is pushing northwestward right now, approaching 410 Palo Alto College. Somerset, you're up next, about to get the good downpour. And then the I-35 corridor momentarily from this downpour. And this I do anticipate to hold together pretty nicely, and it does have some lightning and thunder associated with it. Not a whole lot, but there's a little bit of lightning and thunder. Elsewhere, just outside of Floresville and into Gonzales County, some areas of pop-up showers, and I anticipate some more of this periodically through the night and the first part of the day tomorrow. In terms of rainfall chances tomorrow, they're really the best early in the morning. We're expecting a 40% chance then, so damp commute. Then rainfall chances fall off quite a bit. Earlier, we talked about that big temperature spread. Here in San Antonio, 60 in the morning, 76 in the afternoon. But you get to the Rio Grande tomorrow, and even in the hill country, I don't even think you'll get out of the 60s. That's where it's going to be cooler. Friday and Saturday, 80s to right near 90 degrees, and back to a little bit of sunshine at that point.
I'm not complaining. I love the rain, but you know what comes with rain? Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes, yeah, and mold. Yeah, well put. The computers transforming homes into classrooms and workplaces. Now a virtual career day could help you get hired in your own home, when Amazon is hoping to interview thousands of job seekers coming up.
And Uber is changing course when it comes to how it operates its rideshare business. The goal to go entirely electric coming up.
Plus, concerns around apps made for children. The research uncovered on data sharing. Next on the Nightbeat.
Does your child use educational apps? Well, you may want to take a closer look. Researchers say they could be in violation of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. According to a study published in JAMA Pediatrics, 67% of apps played by children as young as 3 to 4 years old collect data. That includes location data and share it with third-party marketing companies. Researchers say the information is used to profile consumers and target ads. Experts say parents should adjust settings to avoid exploiting children.
Amazon preparing for a massive virtual event that would lead to thousands of new jobs. The company hoping to hire 33,000 new employees. Most of the job openings are for corporate and tech positions. But the company says they do have openings for all job seekers. They're going to be taking applications during a career day event September 16th on Amazon's website. Amazon says it will also provide 20,000 free career coaching sessions that day.
Well, Uber is steering towards a new direction. The ride-hailing service says it will only offer rides in electric vehicles in 10 years. That means many Uber drivers would need to make the switch if they want to keep the gig. The announcement comes as Uber released a report admitting its vehicles are 41% higher in carbon emissions than an average occupancy vehicle. The hope is to have electric vehicles by 2030 in the U.S., Canada, and parts of Europe, and then fully transition all over the world by 2040.
But this is a team effort. We need help, and we need the infrastructure that is required to go all electric, especially in the large cities of the world.
Uber says drivers who already have electric vehicles and hybrid cars will get a bump in pay per trip as they move towards this goal. Well, coming up, a look at the stars and beyond, a peek through a powerful telescope and the new images released.
But first, our KSAT Q&A with San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg is up next.
Time now for our KSAT Q&A. Every Wednesday, we are joined by San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg, who is joining us again this evening. Mayor, thanks for being with us tonight. Some encouraging news in today's daily briefing. It seems like a lot of those metrics that you and the county judge and the Metro Health Department have been talking about, wanting San Antonio to hit, to really progress in our COVID-19 response, we're getting there. So what's your overall thought about where we stand today?
We're in strong shape. I think we are back in control of the pandemic here in San Antonio. For a while there in late June and July and even into August, it had control of us, and it was really an outbreak, a significant one. We are back in control now here in San Antonio. The latest metric that has now moved to cross the threshold we wanted it to, which is a 14-day decline, sustained decline in case rate, that has happened now. The remaining indicator that we're looking at and trying to push down is the positivity rate. It's at 6.7% this week. We need to get it below 5%, and then we are in the green zone. So, but I want to emphasize that even when we're in the green zone, it means that we've got to stay cautious, continue to wear your mask, practice physical distancing. We've got to incorporate some of those minor inconveniences all the way until we actually get a vaccine.
So all three of us in this conversation are parents. You gave the school risk zone. We're at the low end of moderate. Are you at this point feeling better about in-person learning and the fact it could happen, momentarily or within the next week or two?
So I'm confident that the level of classroom in-person learning that is indicated by the public health authority can be done safely. Right now, we're at 25% occupancy, which means that cohorts of 6 students per classroom can be conducted safely based on distancing, et cetera. And that means that school districts can bring back students who have special needs, who don't have digital access, who require in-person learning for one reason or another. That can be done safely, but we're not at the point of opening it up to 50 or 100% yet. We need to cross through that positivity metric first. I am confident that we're getting there, and we're going to get there very soon. I'm a parent also. I've got a student in school, and we are making the choice as parents to utilize what we have the ability to do, which is that first grading period. We're going to hold back and wait till we get to the second grading period before we check out where the metrics are and go back to in-person learning. That's the ability that parents do have if they want to make that choice. But right now, we're not there yet. We're almost there. I'm confident that we will be there very soon, though, in terms of in-person learning.
I think a lot of people eager to see what happens after this first grading period passes. We know now that time is such a factor in the spread of this disease. We went through Labor Day. We talked for so long about people taking precautions ahead of the holiday weekend and as in-person learning now begins. So is there anything that the city is anticipating, or maybe even Metro Health is looking at doing should these next 2 weeks prove to show a spike in cases after Labor Day, as we've seen in the past with Memorial Day?
Yeah, yes, there is. We obviously know that the virus is still out in the community, so when you increase the amount of interaction, you're going to see cases. And so we're ready for that. And one of the places that we're ready for that is in schools. If we find that there are infections, outbreaks in schools, which Metro Health has been clear, we are going to see them, isolated hopefully, we are going to see them. We are ready to act and work with those schools to make sure that they bring those cases in isolation and are able to continue to move forward safely, carefully. We're also going to probably see some of that out in the community, and as you know, we've got our capacity ramped up with testing, with tracing, et cetera, to make sure that as infections do come in, we're able to contain them and continue to move forward as a community.
Earlier in the show, we talked to Greg Hammer, who's with the Howard Peaks Linear Park Association, and he talked about the fact he is concerned about that 1/8 sales tax going away and not a concrete plan to replace it. What would you say to people who are concerned about things like the Salado Creek Greenway, almost Park Greenway, those kind of things?
The linear creekway system is going to continue. It will continue with a commitment from the county and the city working together. I spoke with Judge Wolf moments ago. The County Commissioners Court took a vote back in February to take on the next round of linear creekway park development, the capital construction. The city and the Creekway Trails Board that Greg Hammer sits on will continue to govern it, and the city will maintain those trails. So that will continue. The one challenge, obviously, is that the pandemic has shaken up some forecasts with regard to property tax rolls. And of course, the county budget is 75% property taxes. So they have to wait for those property tax rolls before they can schedule out the next round of acquisitions. But the commitment is there personally and collectively from the judge and myself, and those will continue. They're some of the most popular programs that the city and the county have ever done together.
Mayor, I want to also ask you about the idea of police reform. Earlier in the show, we covered another story about a group called Fix SAPD pushing a petition to do away with 2 local laws they believe protect bad actors within police departments. What are your thoughts on that push? And I know the city is focusing on making potential changes during the next collective bargaining agreement. So where do you stand now on that issue?
Yeah, so the disciplinary reform that is needed in the next collective bargaining agreement is well documented. We've been talking about that for quite some time. It has to do with the fact that some of the disciplinary records of police officers who are accused of misconduct are not available for those arbitration panels to see. And it also has to do with the fact that disciplinary action that's taken by the police chief can be undone by outside arbitrators. So we've got to rectify that in the collective bargaining agreement. We are zeroed in on that issue. It's one of the reasons why we have been discussing it as a resolution, so the city council's position can be made clear going into the next round of collective bargaining. But that is an issue, obviously, that needs to be addressed. It will be addressed, and we're not going to accept agreement that falls short of it.
Out of time, Mayor Ron Nirenberg, always appreciate your visit on Wednesday.
Great to be with y'all.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for being with us. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Well, take a look. NASA has something worth watching. They released cosmic images created with the help of an extremely powerful telescope, the Chandra X-ray Observatory. These composite shots include the galaxy Messier 82. The views of the stars and galaxies and planetary nebulas are not exactly representative of what is visible to the human eye. Looks like beautiful artwork, doesn't it?
Those are very cool. Yeah. Very cosmic.
Yeah.
Don't you think, Adam?
Beautiful. I'm looking at the radar, not the photos.
Yeah, I know. That's why I called you. I knew you were paying attention to the radar. I just wanted to kind of put you on the spot.
Reminds me of grade school. Hey, right, Adam?
Oh, yeah.
Look out the window, the dark clouds.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, the downpour there that's on the south side of town, crossing over 410, that's pushing northward, about to hit downtown, and then Leon Valley at about 11:45, Hill Country Village at 11:59, Chavano Park at about midnight. There's the wider view. That activity is slowly pushing off to the northwest. Tomorrow morning, near 60 in San Antonio. By the afternoon, locally, we'll be in the 70s, but cooler in the Hill Country.
He literally had his head down like this. Oh, yeah, nebulas.